What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the ZayMoolaSportsPodcast. I'm your host, Isaiah, and since the WNBA season is upon us, it is time for me to give y'all my 2026 WNBA season predictions. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So let's begin with my playoff predictions. And coming in at the 1 seed, we have the New York Liberty. And I think the Liberty are by far the best team in the WNBA because they already had a great core of Breanna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, and Sabrina Ionescu, 3 of the top 15 players in the WNBA. But then during the offseason, they added another great player in Satou Sabally, who's going to make them even more dangerous. So now they have a starting 5 of Sabrina, Leonie Phoebus, Satou, Stewie, and Jonquel Jones. I think they have the perfect blend of shooting, size, athleticism, length, and versatility. So I absolutely love their starting 5, y'all. They're going to be very hard to beat because there's not too many teams that are going to have a starting 5 of players that can match what they bring. Again, their shooting, their size, athleticism, length, and versatility. So I absolutely love their starting 5, but I also love their depth. They brought back Rebecca Gardner, who's one of the more underrated 3-and-D guards in the league. Marita Johannes is one of the best shooters in the league. And then Minaj Delaney, when she's healthy, she's an all-star caliber player as well. So I absolutely love this team from top to bottom. I think they have zero weaknesses on their roster. I think the biggest question I would have for the Liberty is how quick they can get accustomed to their new head coach, Chris DeMarco's systems offensively and defensively. Obviously, during the offseason, they parted ways with Sandy Brondello, who I believe is one of the best coaches in the WNBA. And obviously, they had a ton of success with her winning the championship a couple of years ago. So it's going to be, kind of interesting to see how quick they can get used to his systems that he has in place. But I think because of their elite talent, they're going to be just fine and be one of the most dominant teams in WNBA history. Coming in at the 2 seed, we have the Las Vegas Aces, and the Aces are in the midst of a dynasty right now as they have won 3 of the last 4 WNBA titles, and I expect more of the same this season. I mean, they brought back their core of Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, Jewel Lloyd, and Chelsea Gray. But I love what they added to their bench, y'all. I mean, they brought back Dana Evans, which we know she's one of the more underrated 3-and-D guards in the league. But then they brought in Stephanie Talbot, who's a very versatile defender and can knock down some threes. And then Kennedy Carter, who's an explosive scorer, does a great job of getting out here and finishing around the rim. And she's a very tenacious defender. And then they also brought back Nalissa Smith and Sharon Parker to provide them some nice depth in their front court next to Asia Wilson. So I still think that the Aces are going to be one of the top teams in the WNBA. It's going to be interesting to see, though, y'all, if unlike last year, they can get off to a fast start this season. Obviously, it didn't, bother them too much last year because even though they got off to a horrible start last year, they were still able to win, the championship. But I think this season, they're going to have to get off to a quicker start because I think a lot of these teams, y'all, in the league have gotten significantly better. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Aces can get off to a faster start than they did last year. But I still expect them to be one of the top 2 teams in the WNBA. Coming in at the 3 seed, we have the Atlanta Dream, aka my favorite team. And I'm not being biased, y'all. I mean, even if I wasn't a Dream fan, I would still have them slotted as a 3rd seed because they were great last year. I mean, they won 30 games. Their new head coach, Carson Mesco, did a great job of bringing in his systems offensively and defensively, and the players really got accustomed to that, and they thrived in his system. But then, obviously, y'all, during the offseason, they made the big acquisition of Angel Reese, one of the best 2-way forwards in the WNBA, to really improve their athleticism and defense and rebounding in that front court. And now you pair her alongside Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray, which is one of the best scoring duos in the WNBA, y'all. I mean, the Dream are going to be absolutely lethal. And then they also brought back Jordan Candle, who is one of the best playmaking and defending point guards in the WNBA, and they brought back Bree Jones, who we know is a very underrated player in her own right. So I absolutely love the Dream. I think the question I would have for them is their shooting, because I still didn't think they did a lot during the offseason to address their shooting. I mean, I know they have Tahina Papal, and she's a very good shooter. Ryan's a good shooter, and Alicia Gray. But outside that, I feel like they could have added maybe 2 or 3 more shooters to their roster. But I think because of their athleticism, their defense, their versatility, and having a great scoring duo in Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard, I expect the Dream to be even better than they were last year. Coming in at the 4 seed, we have the Indiana Fever, and the Fever were so close to making it to the finals last season. That was despite the fact that they had significant injuries to Lexi Hall, Sophie Cunningham, and obviously Caitlin Clark. This year, y'all, as long as they can stay healthy, I think the Fever are going to be better because I love what they did to improve their depth and defense. That was 2 areas of their team I thought were lacking last season, was their depth and defense. But this offseason, y'all. Adding Ty Harris. I mean, Ty is a very good shooter, pretty solid passer, and a really good defender. Drafting Raven Johnson, who I thought was the best perimeter defender in the draft, and she's also a really good playmaker and leader. And then also bringing in players like Damiris Dantas, who's going to provide some nice depth in the front court, and Maisha Hines-Allen, who's a very athletic, versatile forward. So I love what they did in terms of improving their depth and defense. Obviously, we know they're still going to be led by that lethal big three of Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell, but I love them improving their depth and defense. And I think if the Fever can be even just an average to good defensive team this year, they're going to be championship contenders, y'all, because we know they can score in bunches. Again, you have a big three of Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell, arguably the best scoring big three in the WNBA. That's not going to be their problem. It's just, can they become a pretty average to good defensive team? And if they do that, I think they're going to be great in 2026. Coming in at the 5 seed, we have the LA Sparks. And I think the Sparks are going to be the most improved team in the WNBA because they brought back Nneka Ogwumike, who, although she's 35, y'all, she is still one of the best two-way force in the WNBA. Still a great scorer, still a great defender, still a great rebounder, and it is incredibly versatile. She's going to form a very great front court duo with she and De'Ara Hamby. And then they also acquired Ariel Atkins, who I think is the best 3-and-D shooting guard in the league. She's going to pair very nicely alongside KP, Kelsey Plum, for those that don't know. And then they still have, y'all, Cameron Brink, who before she got injured was looking like one of the best rim protection, one of the best interior defenders in the WNBA, and I can already see now that she's fully healthy. So I love the Sparks. I do question their depth a little bit. I don't think they have an incredibly deep bench, but I did love them drafting Tanai Lasher. She's going to provide them some really nice scoring and perimeter defense off the bench. But yeah, I think the Sparks are going to be the most improved team in the WNBA, again, with the additions of Nneka Ogwumike and Ariel Atkins to go alongside De'Ara Hamby and Kelsey Plum. I'm really high on the Sparks, and I think they're going to be sneaky championship contenders. Coming in at the 6th seed, we have the Minnesota Lynx. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I'm a little worried about the Lynx this season because obviously they still have Nafisa Collier, Kayla McBride, Courtney Williams, and then they drafted Olivia Miles. But they lost a lot of key players, y'all. Bridget Carlton, Jessica Shepard, and Alana Smith. Those were 3 players that played, very vital roles for their team, particularly Bridget Carlton and Alana Smith with their 3-point shooting and defensive versatility. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Lynx replace them. And then also remember, y'all, Fee is not going to be back until next month. So can they get off to a great enough start in May, to really be able to still, position themselves to be in the playoff hunt? We shall see. I think that's going to be very key, y'all. The Lynx need to get off to a great start. If they come out of the gate like, 2-6, 2-9, something like that, I'm going to be very concerned about them. But I still think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to be championship contenders like they've been the last 2 years because, again, they just lost a lot of depth to their team. But I still think they're going to be a playoff team because Kayla McBride is still the best shooter in the WNBA. Courtney Williams is one of the best all-around guards in the WNBA. I think Olivia Miles is going to have an incredible rookie season. And then when Fee comes back, we know that she's arguably a top 3 player in the WNBA. So because they're still going to have success, they're still going to be a playoff team. I just wouldn't expect them to be championship contenders like they've been the last couple of years, but I still think they're going to be a really good team in 2026. Coming in at the 7th seed, we have the Dallas Wings. And yes, y'all, I have the Wings making the playoffs. Now, I absolutely love the additions they made during the offseason. We just talked about the Lynx lost Alana Smith and Jessica Shepard, and the reason they lost them is because the Wings signed them. And I absolutely love both of those players, y'all. They're going to bring tremendous amount of defensive versatility, athleticism, and rebounding to their front court. We know last year the Wings arguably had the worst front court in the WNBA. Now they should have one of the better front courts with the addition of Jessica Shepard and Alana Smith. And then obviously they brought back Arike Agumawale. And I think Arike is very motivated because, last year she didn't have the season that she wanted, but I think she's very motivated, to prove people that she is still one of the best players in the WNBA. And then obviously they drafted AZ Flood, who's going to provide them with elite shooting and perimeter defense. And then we know Paige Beckers, y'all, who is probably already a top 10, maybe even top 5 player in the WNBA, had one of the best rookie seasons in WNBA history, broke so many records. So I love what they have from an offensive perspective and also what they added to their front court. I am kind of concerned about their perimeter defense, though, y'all, because I think, AZ is probably their best perimeter defender right now, which isn't great because, she is a rookie. And so although I think she's a very good defender, obviously she's going to have some growing pains because she's a rookie. So that's one area that I'm concerned about them. But I do love their depth. I think Isaiah James is going to have a great sophomore season. They also brought back Maddie Seegers and JJ Quinley, who brought them some nice depth. So I love what they have from a depth perspective. Again, I love their offensive expectations. I love, their offensive production they should have, and I also love what they added to their front court. But I am a little concerned about their perimeter defense. But I think they're going to be able to score enough points and use their depth to their advantage to be able to sneak into the playoffs. And coming in at the 8th and final seed, y'all, we have the Phoenix Mercury. I'm not going to lie. I really thought about putting the Washington Mystics in this final playoff seed, y'all, because I think the Mystics are really going to be a sneaky team. I know they're young, but I think they're going to use their youth and athleticism to their advantage, y'all. I mean, adding Lauren Best and bringing back Sonia Citron and Kiki and Shakira Austin and Georgia Amar, Rory Harmon. I think the Mystics are going to be a very sneaky team this season, but I cannot put them in the playoffs just yet because they start a little bit, inexperienced. But I think they're, in a couple of years, the Mystics are going to be really good. But anyways, y'all, I just want to throw that out there. I gave this final playoff spot to the Mercury, and I really don't feel great about this. And this might sound crazy to say, y'all, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Mercury just missed the playoffs altogether. Now, I know that sounds crazy to say, considering they were literally in the finals last season. But they lost Satu Sabler, who, as I mentioned earlier, is an all-star player, one of the better players in the WNBA. And they did not replace her, y'all. I mean, yes, you still have Alyssa Thomas, who is probably the most versatile player in the WNBA. Miss Triple-Double herself. You still have KFC, who's an elite two-way player, great slasher, great scorer, and a great defender. And you brought back DeWanda Bonner, who, even though she's on the back end of her career, she's still a solid veteran player. But y'all, I just don't love their depth at all. Again, they didn't make really any, meaningful additions to their roster, and I'm very concerned about that because there are a lot of teams, y'all, like the Chicago Sky, like the Washington Mystics, that I think, significantly got better. So that's why I would not be surprised if the Mercury missed the playoffs. But I think, Alyssa Thomas and KFC are going to be able to drag them to that final and 8th playoff spot. But again, y'all, don't be shocked if the Mercury missed the playoffs because I just don't love their depth. And I think they're going to have to, play Alyssa Thomas at KFC probably anywhere from 35 to 38 minutes per game. It's going to put a lot of wear and tear on their bodies. But because of them being such a dynamic duo, I have them getting this final and 8th playoff spot, y'all. And now let's get to my finals prediction. And I have the New York Liberty defeating the Las Vegas Aces in 7 games. As I mentioned earlier, I think the Liberty are by far the best team in the WNBA. They already were great, but then you add Satu Sabler, y'all. I mean, oh my goodness. This team is going to be absolutely dangerous. And although I think the Aces can compete with them, I just think in the end, y'all, again, with the addition of Satu Sabler, it's going to give the Liberty just what they need to get over the hump and win their second title in 4 years. And now let's get to my 2026 WNBA award predictions, y'all. And let's begin with MVP and Defensive Player of the Year because I have this award going to the same player, and that is none other than the legendary A'ja Wilson, y'all. I know she won MVP and Defensive Player last year, and you'll probably say, well, Zay, you need to switch it up. These voters don't have voter fatigue because she's won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year so many times already. But here's the thing, y'all. A'ja is by far the best player in the WNBA. I mean, she's an elite two-way player, has a great mid-range game, is really improved as a three-point shooter, is an elite versatile defender, is a great rebounder, is a solid passer. I mean, she has zero weaknesses to her game, y'all, and she's still the most dominant player in the WNBA. And until someone is able to dethrone her from here on out, I'm going to have her win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year for the rest of her career. I mean, seriously, y'all, because she is just that elite of a two-way player. So this was a very easy decision for me. I know a lot of people are thinking that Caitlin Clark could potentially win it, and she could, but I think the Liberty, I think the Fever will have to be a top 2 or 3 seed. I have them as a 4 seed, so I think they're going to be high enough for her to be in consideration. And I know also some people think that Brianna Stewart can win the MVP, but I think just because the Liberty have such a stacked team, they probably going to have a couple players competing for the MVP award. So I don't think she's going to be a strong candidate. And again, y'all, I just think this is A'ja Wilson's award to lose because she is by far the best two-way player in the WNBA. and I have her winning MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Moving on to Rookie of the Year, we have Olivia Miles. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, this was a very tough decision for me because it was between she and Flage, but I gave the nod to Olivia Miles because she can impact the game in a variety of ways. I mean, she's a great playmaker, has amazing court vision. She's also a great rebounder, has a great feel for the game, plays at her own pace, is an improving shooter, is a great ball handler. And I just think, y'all, she's probably going to average, anywhere from 12 to 15 points, 5 to 8 rebounds, and 5 to 8 assists per game. I mean, I think she's going to, be flirting with a triple-double. I think it's going to give her the advantage over some of the other players in this draft class. Again, this was a very difficult decision for me. I also wouldn't be surprised if Georgia Amore, because remember, y'all, she's a rookie now, so I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia Amore, Lauren Best, if they also, were in consideration for this award. But I gave the nod to Olivia Miles because of her all-around play. And I think she's going to have an incredible rookie year for the Minnesota Lynx. Coming in for Most Improved Player, I have Rickea Jackson, Miss Jackson. And I think Rickea is going to have an incredible year. I would not be surprised if she's an all-star because I think she has a big chip on her shoulder to prove people wrong. A lot of people have criticized her, first 2 years in the WNBA. Felt like, she has not reached her potential, y'all. But now she's with the Chicago Sky, and they're going to put the ball in her hands a lot. And I expect her to have a great year, both offensively and defensively. Again, don't be surprised if she makes the all-star team. I think she's going to average anywhere from 17 to 20 points per game while also being a very good defender. And I think this is going to be the breakout season for Rickea Jackson that many people, including myself, have been wanting to see. And I have her winning Most Improved. Coming in at 6th Player of the Year, we have Kennedy Carter, y'all, aka Hollywood. And yes, I think Kennedy Carter is going to win this award really in dominating fashion, y'all, because we know she's one of the more talented guards in the WNBA. I mean, she has an explosive first step. She does a great job of getting out here and finishing around the rim with her left or right hand. She also has a good mid-range pull-up shot, and she's an absolutely tenacious defender. I think she's in the right system for her to have success. Playing for an organization like the Aces that has, great players like Asia, Jackie Young, Julia, and Chelsea Gray, has a great coach in Becky Hammond, has great management like Nikki Fargas. I think, y'all, this is the perfect team for her to have success. And I think she's going to really just, block out all the noise, block out all the distractions, and have an incredible year for the Las Vegas Aces. And again, I think she's going to win this award in dominated fashion. And last but not least, y'all, coming in at Coach of the Year, we have Lynn Roberts, head coach of the LA Sparks. As I mentioned earlier, I think the Sparks are going to be the most improved team in the WNBA this season. Last year they were 2 games away from making the playoffs, but this year I think they're going to be a top 5 team in the WNBA. Again, with the additions of Ariel Atkins and Nneka Ogwumike to pair with Kelsey Plum, Nia Cammy, and Cameron, I think that's going to give them what they need to be a great team in 2026. And I like her to win Coach of the Year. So there I have, man. This was my 2026 WNBA season prediction, y'all. I'm so fired up for the season, man. I'm so glad that we're actually having the season. Obviously, it was a big CBA dispute between the league and the players, but thankfully, everything worked out the way it should, y'all. And now we have another season of the WNBA on the horizon. I'm super fired up, and I hope you are as well. Remember, y'all, laughs good message. So what? Make sure you get your daily dose. Y'all, I'm an enemy, man. I love y'all. God bless. Peace.